Let us bow our heads. Dear Lord, we come to you again to thank you so much for the many blessings and opportunities you bestowed upon us. Please give us courage to do the things we need to do for the state of Georgia. Please lead us, guide us, direct us. In thy name we pray, amen.
As we're getting started, just want to let everybody know that Senate Bill 301 has been removed from the agenda per the author. The first bill we've got on our agenda today is HB 244. If the author would please come up.
Mr. Chairman, with your permission, I'm going to ask the state auditor to join me at the dais.
No, not at all. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, can I proceed?
Please proceed.
I was going to give you a summary of the bill and then have the auditor give you some color commentary. But we have a committee substitute and an amendment, and I'd like the Legislative Council to kind of walk the committee through kind of what that does so we can start from there and then move forward into the summary.
Okay.
That's okay with you?
Yep.
So the committee's should have a substitute before it. I believe it's LC 473927S.
Correct.
And that's the substitute that Representative Cannon is presenting here today. And then there's also, I hope y'all also have copies of an amendment AM 470165.
Yep.
Stuart, can you run through that LCS?
Sure. So for the substitute, 473927S.
Everybody tracking? Then I've got this amendment.
Right, and then the amendment is AM 470165. So the amendment would replace lines 24 through 31 in the substitute before y'all. And it's just providing some clarifying language. The state auditor and I, we wanted to make sure, earlier today there was a question as if the current language in the substitute would potentially leave a hole where certain governments could argue they did not have to do a state audit or do an audit each year. The amendment just slightly modifies the language on lines 24 through 31 to resolve any doubt that all local governments would be obligated to do one of the three type of audit or audit-like functions that are being proposed in the bill that Representative Cannon and the state auditor can explain in greater detail. But that's kind of the posture of how the amendment works with the substitute before y'all.
Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chairman. All right, just a quick summary. HB 244 provides some additional flexibility in local government audit requirements based on the level of local government expenditures. The bill eases and reduces the financial reporting burden for those cities and counties who have expenditures less than $2.5 million. We heard this bill last year in this committee. The bill came out of some recommendations from the Rural Development Council in 2023, specifically asking the Department of Audits and Accounts to come up with a reasonable way of reducing the accounting and audit burden on some smaller local governments by the 2025 legislative session. We came close last year, just kind of came up short a little bit. We're going to try again this year. But the proposed language expands the use of what we call the agreed upon procedures, AUP engagements, and creates a simpler reporting option as opposed to the financial statements being prepared and audited on the full generally accepted accounting principle basis, a full GAAP basis. Specifically, the bill allows for two less costly options for a full GAAP, both from the preparer side and the auditor side. It also incorporates some language to address late filings of local governments, primarily in the counties, that may be attributable to constitutional officers that in some cases keep their books separately from the county. We work very closely with GMA, ACCG, Mr. Griffin, and the State Auditor's Office and Ledge Council to craft the language. Appreciate their help and cooperation. So overall, this legislation seeks to allow we're looking for some simplicity in general in the reporting requirements for what are often very small, very rural local governments that just don't have that high level of government expenditures. Again, they're below 2.5 million. I'd like to allow the state auditor to go through some details, if that's appropriate, Mr. Chairman,
That is.
and kind of walk through with the committee some of the key portions and highlights of the language.
Thank you, Representative Cannon, and pleasure to be here, committee and Chairman. Just as Representative Cannon said, this is in response to work done with the House Rural Development Council. Just very quickly, some stats. There currently are over 143 cities that are delinquent in their annual audit filings. That's about 27% of the population. There are 67 of those cities that have 2 or more reports delinquent, and 29 that are 3 or more in arrears. The counties fare much better. There currently are only 24 counties delinquent, which is 15%, and 2 counties that have 2 reports in arrears. And this legislation really focuses on just the cities in terms of providing some relief and flexibility to the accounting models. As Representative Cannon said, the back portion relates to the counties. I think you summarized what the legislation pretty well. I'd be glad to walk you through the line by line or the sections that relate to the big changes, if you'd like me to do that. If that's appropriate.
Yeah, that'd be great. Thank you.
So, again, we are providing flexibility to access cost-effective alternatives. And so we are generally expanding the use of the agreed-upon procedures audits, AUPs, as we call it for short, and we're introducing or creating a optional a special purpose reporting framework, which is in lieu of a full GAAP audit. So on lines 18 to 23, that is where we are increasing the expenditure threshold to 2.5 million. Any city that has more than 2.5 million in expenditures will be required to have a full audit. That threshold before was 550,000. In lines 25 to 31, that is where we are creating the special option, special purpose framework. So any entities that have expenditures less than 2.5 million may opt to elect to have their audits performed on a special purpose framework.
Tell me that line would be.
It's around 25 to 31.
And that's where the amendment comes into.
And the amendment changes a couple words there. And then on lines 32 to 33, that is where we are increasing the expenditure threshold for the AUP audits from 550,000 to $1 million. On lines 41 to 46, just to point out AUPs, those are not full audits. That is an agreed upon procedures review. It's limited. It's again not as robust as an audit. There was concern that they didn't go far enough. What we did to address that in those lines, it is requiring that a full audit, either under full GAAP or under the special purpose framework, be conducted every 5th year. And then lines 59 to 61 grants the state auditor the flexibility to waive and generate exceptions to keep governments from jumping back and forth between the expenditure or the full audits and the AUPs, because those are very different. And if you're right on the line, you do not want to be jumping back and forth between the 2 different accounting bases. And then back towards the back, 141 to the end of the legislation, that is where language to incent certain public officials and employees to cooperate in providing financial information to their primary government in order to get their financial reports completed in a timely manner. That's pretty much
Thank you.
the bill.
Any questions, comments? Go ahead, Mr. Whip.
Could you give me a brief understanding of a full gap?
Full gap is that is generally accepted accounting principles. You have to follow the standards that are set by the Government Accounting Standards Board. It requires you to complete a number of sets of financial statements and prescribes all the things that go into the notes. So,
And these are the certifications that governments get. They walk around with a big ring binder, and at the beginning of their budget, they have that letter in there stating that they have completed all of that. Would that be close to right?
not
Where they
nec-
promote the fact that it was a full gap audit?
It,
the
it
full
could,
gap's
it
also done?
could be. There-
Yep.
Yep.
And to the author, how many cities would be impacted by this?
I think we've got a list there. I think it was, you know, Mr. Auditor there?
I do. So currently, moving the threshold of, let's see, setting the threshold at 1 million captures 204 cities. That makes them eligible for the AUP. That's 38% of the population. Today, there are 142 cities that are eligible for the AUP.
What was that number, 142?
142. The 2.5 million threshold makes eligible 283 cities, which is about 50% of the population. And that is, those are the numbers. And we're moving, we'd like to see, again, the use of the AUPs. Those procedures are generally less costly to prepare and audit, typically between 25 and 50% cheaper, less costly.
Are we giving irresponsible city leaders an easier way to do their audits? Those that don't want to go through the full audit?
The AUP is less rigorous. The special purpose framework is not. It is very much the same as a full audit. It is just, the footnotes would be less complex. The numbers of statements would be less to prepare. They might be prepared on a cash basis, which is much easier than a full accrual basis. The AUP, we are increasing the number of entities, again, from 142 to 204. It's still a review, and those procedures are very specific, and many of those are specified by my office. But to address the accountability thing, every 5th year, they have to have a full audit, which was not in place today.
That's a
Right.
higher threshold.
That-
It's a higher threshold than it is today, so every 5th year must be the full gap audit.
Yep.
And of course, if these are not done, then the state funds that come through the state to the counties and cities are withheld. The LMIG funds, the CDBG ability, LRA funding. So that's part of the carrot is you need to get this stuff done in order to receive state funds. If you can't get it done, then you don't get it. But some folks can't get the proper staff and can't afford an audit to get to the full gap accounting. So this gives them an alternative way. Still holds them accountable and still makes them accountable to the taxpayers, but gives them a less rigorous form. But there is some auditing involved, and it's prescribed by the state auditor.
Right. And, I mean, and Mr. Chairman, if you don't mind, I know, so there's been been quite a few issues over the last couple of years of
Correct.
smaller cities, and not to call out any, but we'll use Enigma as an example, where mismanagement has impacted the citizens in a very detrimental way. And so I just want to make sure we're not paving a path for that type of behavior to be hidden longer and found out and discovered every 5 years. So is my only concern, but I appreciate the legislation.
To that point, I think that might still occur, and in those cases, I think there might need to be something on the back end to hold those cities accountable. They can still not do an audit under this framework and still not be eligible, but there might be need to be some more rigorous, response from the state to those particular local governments.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, that's all we got.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just to follow up on what the whip was asking there, Representative, I know I have a specific city that has not done one in, I think, over 5 years already and is non-compliant, the city of Quitman. And lines 141 on the back part of this bill, does that apply? Can you kind of walk me through, does that provide any more teeth in that? I know it mentions counties and consolidated governments, but does that, how does that part work?
So essentially what we're saying there is that, basically you have, organic county departments has to perform an audit, and you have outside county departments that they're not organic to the county, that also have to provide input to the county audit. So for example, the Department of Public Health has to provide numbers to the county for the county to submit its audit. The library has to provide numbers to the county for the county to submit its audit. Probate court, sheriff's office, clerk of the court all keep separate books. And there's some cases where the county is prepared to do it or the city is prepared to do it but doesn't have those other outside agency books ready. This says the county can go ahead and submit their audit and get credit for it from the state. So it kind of allows them to just move forward with the process because of an outside agency's holding them up. It doesn't punish them for an outside agency not keeping up with the timeline of submitting audits, their numbers to the county or the city.
Okay. So there's no way to make that apply to the cities within the counties in any shape, form, or fashion?
In most cases, the city audits are separate from the county audits. It wouldn't have no bearing on the county, or those are separate local, if I'm correct in that. So there'd be two separate audits for the county and for the city.
Okay, so withholding the funds, that's to the actual agency within the county.
That's correct. Potential, but it
So
has to be refinished or refurbished to that department once they're given to the county for audit submission.
So we have teeth to get it from the agencies within the county, but we don't have teeth to get information from the cities within the county
That's correct.
at this time.
That's correct. One potential option that you could do is pull the city's charter. That's an option. And I'm not sure we need to go that far, but we need to have some responsibility to the taxpayers in those cities where they're not doing their audits, and counties. I'm not sure this bill addresses that, though.
Thank you. Senator again.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Representative, I've been a recovering city and county manager for about 20 years. And I understand some of the local governments I'd go into, maybe they were a little bit behind on some of those requirements. What I'm kind of curious about, I think about one that's been behind for 5 years. You mentioned other measures. What other measures would you do, whether it be for a city or a county, that just can't seem to get it together? And I'll pick on my friends from ACCG and GMA to give me their suggestions on this as well.
Well, I'm not sure there's much to do for counties. I think the state legislature, the General Assembly, has tools in the toolbox for cities. The other side of that is withholding of funds, and we already do that. So if you're not up to speed on your audits or within compliance, you don't get access to LMIG, you don't get access to LRA funding or CDBG. In many cases, that's millions of dollars a year that you're losing out on at the local level. So
Equipment ain't $1 million a year getting an LMIG.
Sir?
Equipment's not getting $1 million a year in LMIG.
Oh, yeah. Well, whatever the amount they're getting to augment whatever the SPLOST or T-SPLOST allocation, that goes a long way in getting more asphalt on the ground. It's a little bit for that area, but they just don't get those revenues. But there is probably some stuff we should look at on the backside to have some more teeth in them not doing it after such a long period of time.
That's what I'm looking for, a suggestion. Just put you on the spot.
I mean, pulling the charter is an option. Certainly is. It should be considered. I don't know what, I'm not versed in the county aspect of that, but, and maybe ACCG or GMA could provide some other options, but, or Let's Council, but I'm not aware.
Hoping that they'll weigh in on that. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Any further comments or questions from the committee? We've got 2 speakers signed up. First, ACCG, Nathan, you come forward.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure to be here today with you, Chairman Dixon, and the members of this committee. My name is Nathan Corbett, and I'm with ACCG. Thank you for the opportunity to speak on this bill. ACCG fully supports this substitute version of the bill. Our members rank this as a legislative priority for this session. This bill grants counties vital 90-day extensions on their audits when circumstances beyond the county's control prevent timely filing. This pauses the loss of qualified local government status, which would harm county residents due to the loss of state grant funding such as LMIG and LRA, like we've already heard. That's all I have for you today, and thank you for this opportunity to speak.
We've got a question for you.
Yes.
Appreciate, good to see you today. Give me an example of something that would be beyond their control.
Well, the immediate circumstance which comes to mind is faulty behavior on the part of who is helping them perform the audit.
So hiring the wrong vendor?
Possibly, you might characterize it that way, yes, sir.
Yeah, I mean, I could appreciate if we're talking about Helene, or if we're talking about, you know, something Mother Nature related, catastrophic, and I didn't mean to get the pitching coach brought into the game, but
I think
I think you were throwing
Well,
good.
the bench is
I
warmer,
thought-
sir, so I can't.
I think you were throwing pretty good pitches, but
I think Representative Cannon alluded to it earlier when we're waiting on a constitutional officer who hadn't turned in the necessary materials for us to complete the audit on time. And then over the weekend, I think he heard from, I won't speak for the representative, but counties that experienced challenges with the Department of was it Health, Public Health and libraries.
So if I'm hearing you, and Todd, thanks. So it's the things that Chairman Cannon is referring to about where we encourage the sheriff's office to let them review their books and Department of Health. So these are the things that we classify as beyond their control. In the county. And this being defined as beyond their control does not open it up so they can maybe stretch those definitions out and claim other things beyond their control. Because I can agree with those 100% and have a tremendous amount of respect for Mr. Corbett, but if you RFP out a vendor to come in and do this work for you, if that vendor is not meeting the standards, I don't think that would necessarily be something that I would call beyond the control. Would that be fairly close to?
I'd never thought of that as being included in that, which is, what does it say, beyond the control.
Right. I think that was the word,
We
that
were
was the
trying to
words
get it
used.
what,
Yeah.
we're trying to just get it at the other entities we just
Yeah.
mentioned, not the actual audit.
And I appreciate that you have relationships in counties that can be sticky at times and where constitutional officers and others can intentionally slow a process
Or unintentionally.
Yeah.
I mean, that could
Yeah.
run into a problem. It just prohibits, it doesn't allow the county to be punished in those cases.
right. Okay, thank you.
Senator again.
Yeah, I appreciate the comments. I was going to ask you about, okay, you know, some counties strictly go by, okay, hey, we're not dealing with the development authority, the airport authority, the water and sewer authority. One of the things that to me, sometimes they're an integral part of the audit, sometimes they're not. Is it spelled out? And this is one where we try to make sure we included everybody. Wherever we're funding an agency, we like to have them in our audit. And I'll ask you, and also maybe we should ask Greg. Said is there a preference that the state likes to see, or is there a preference that ACCG recommends in dealing with that for county governments?
I cannot speak to that, sir.
Nor can I, but would you like to come up?
As far as a county that, you know, we had water and sewer authorities, we had airport authorities, we had a lot of different, development authority, you name it. Just like most counties, do you like to have those in an integral part of the county audit, or do you want them to be more separate? Is there
Yeah, if you would come up to the mic.
rationale for?
So I think the accounting standards and the audit standards dictate where you report those entities. So for a county report, again, the standards as the whip mentioned, it will specify what has to be in the county audit, whether it's the sheriff's office or safety or whatnot. So it's specified. It's a requirement. If that
Yeah,
helps.
I don't know of anything in state law that specifies some of the authorities. And to me, we always like, if we're funding an authority in some which way, we like to have it in our audit. And that was my logic in it. But I don't think it's spelled out in state law that's one way or the other. When you were asking about, what could delay something, sometimes, when you're dealing with because those are truly other separate government entities. But if they're an agency that you're interacting with and you want to put them in your audit.
So again, it depends on, there are, the standards, again, dictate whether to include or not. So we call them component units. Again, if they meet certain requirements, they go into the specific audit of whether it be a county or a city. If it doesn't meet that requirement, it is excluded from the reporting entity of the audit. So again, there's requirements that have to be met in order to include it in an audit report.
Thank you.
Senator Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Question about entities that are between 1 million. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Entities that are between 1 million and 2.5. Can you help me find that language on the bill here? It's a
That
little-
might be best addressed to Legislative Council, sir.
Yes. I know we were auditors here too. I know we were in the sponsor.
My apologies.
It's more clear for the entities that are over, 2.5 and above on line 21, and then those that are 1 million and below on 33. Was there a section there?
Yes, sir. I don't know if you have a copy of the amendment.
Yeah.
The amendment clarifies that language.
Okay.
Making it clear that entities which have expenditures of less than $2.5 million
Got it.
have the option of doing the special purpose framework.
And that
That-
creates that, forgive me, that was that third category that you mentioned at the beginning,
No.
covering that.
No, sir. The third category is for governments that make less than, or have expenditures of less than $1 million.
Thank you.
So there are three categories. If a government makes more than 2.5 million, they have to do the gap. If they have expenditures of 2.5 million or less than 2.5 million, they can do the special purpose framework through the auditor's office.
Great.
And then those governments with expenditures of less than $1 million can use the alternate program. That is the cheaper, easier way that they can use every 4 years or so.
Thank you. Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, next up, GMA, Jim Thornton.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee. Jim Thornton with the Georgia Municipal Association. We represent all 536 cities in Georgia. I think we've heard that about 250 or so that are potentially affected by this change in law. And so I want to begin by thanking Representative Cannon for bringing this bill and the state auditor for working so closely on it. I want to respond to a couple of the questions. I'll begin with two comments. One is obviously GMA is in support of this bill. We think it will help a lot of our cities become compliant with state law, and we think it will help them not only become compliant but also be more transparent to their citizens as a result of this work. Brief note of background. About 2 years ago, after the House Rural Development Council recommended that this issue be addressed, the state auditor actually convened a working group. He was there along with his staff. He brought in a couple of accounting firms that across the state do a lot of local government audits. He brought in city managers, county managers, clerks, et cetera, brought in GMA and ACCG. We actually hosted that meeting at our office at GMA. And some of the things that y'all have asked about were discussed in that particular working group because we wanted to make sure that whatever changes were made did not allow noncompliance, did not allow lack of transparency, did not allow bad actors to take advantage of a system. But we also recognized and heard from the audit firms that there were real issues with a city with a $2 million annual budget paying for a full GASB audit, which not only requires them to do an accrual basis of accounting, which quite honestly a lot of folks in smaller communities are not as familiar with. It would require them to make assessments for pension liabilities and things into the future when almost all of them use GMA's pension plan. So it's not something they would be doing on their own. It would require them to provide lots of footnotes where they document all kinds of potential downstream risks. These are the same standards that were written for the city of Atlanta, that were written for the city of Savannah, Macon, Columbus, et cetera. And they make sense. The GASB standards make sense in a complicated organization with lots of authorities, with lots of departments, with lots of moving parts. They simply didn't make sense in a city of 500 people with a $2 million budget where they're providing 2 or 3 services. But the state auditor was essentially coming to the table and saying, and what he presented today was a great example of that. I can write standards that apply to Georgia cities, not having to follow the national standards, but I can write standards that make sense for Georgia cities that are more understandable for elected officials, that are more understandable for staff that are having to keep financial statements, that are more transparent to the citizens because it's actually going to the real questions of is this city sustainable, is this city viable in the long term or not? And he can do that in a much more cost-effective way that would incentivize those same accounting firms who are also at the table to want to bid on the work. Because when we survey our members, and it's about 100, it varies, 120 to 140 that might be out of compliance at any given time. When we survey them, they're having staff turnover issues. They're having staff that aren't as familiar with these complicated standards. They're going out to bid to accounting firms and not getting any bids back. Or when they get bids back, it may be a $40,000 bid for a city with a $500,000 annual budget, and that becomes fairly cost prohibitive for them. So we at GMA are not a police organization. As you know, we don't regulate cities. We have no regulatory power. We're a membership organization. We do provide a lot of services. We have a member services team that's deployed throughout the state that goes into our smaller cities and tries to help them get up to compliance and get up to standards. But at the end of the day, if they don't have the personnel or they don't have the audit firms responding to the RFPs, they can't make that work. But to Senator Robertson's point, nothing from day one of that meeting has been intended to relax the standards in such a way as to make it easier for anyone to abuse the system. Quite by contrast, we're trying to make it easier for them to have an audit that complies with the meaningful standards that the state auditor has directed that will ensure that money is being spent effectively and transparently. I recognize, Senator Watson, and GMA recognizes that we're still going to have some cities that don't comply. That's with 536 in the wheelhouse. There are going to be some that are going to struggle, and we do think that it is appropriate in separately perhaps for the legislature to consider how to address that. I'm already, I tell you, we're having some conversations about some of the cities that have been referenced and try to figure out what we can do on the back end to help them and address it. It's not always as simple as, with respect to Representative Cannon, it's not always as simple as removing the charter, because sometimes that then just shifts all of the debt and liabilities to the county, and that's not necessarily something the counties are always going to want. So there probably needs to be a middle ground perspective, and that's something that GMA is working closely with some members on already. And finally, just to the point about the 2.5 million, to some extent that's an arbitrary number, but we felt like anything above that probably can justify the cost and expense of a full GASB standard audit. It's the smaller cities that becomes cost prohibitive for, and so we think that this is something that will bring many of them into compliance. I will tell you, when we surveyed our members last, we had 117. And the number's up, but that's because we moved into a new year. So when we surveyed them in the fall, we were at 117. Now the number's up. But of that, we identified that 68 of them were essentially making progress on catching up. We had 15 that were almost complete. So I think we are making a lot of progress in that regard, and we'll continue to work with your committee. But we do support this legislation and feel like it will be of benefit to all of the residents of those cities.
So you think it'd be too aggressive if I got like a little Staples easy button and put pull charter? And just have Representative Center come by and just slap
It's easy legislatively. It's not always easy to implement. I think that would be the concern.
Yeah.
That we
No,
would have.
thank you for your
Yeah.
testimony. Senator again.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Said at the appropriate time, I'd move do pass. I know we got an amendment to pick up as well. So
Yes, it would be appropriate.
I believe Senator Robertson may have a burning question.
Okay. Go ahead, Mr. Whip.
Just real quick, I want to ask Mr. Thornton, so right now, all 536 are meeting the GASB standard on audits?
So all of them are required to.
Okay.
Unless they qualify for they're less than 550, I think, under the current.
Right, I think you
and-
made a great point
Yeah.
when you brought in the city of Atlanta and other larger cities. So what we're trying to do is we're just trying to make sure apples and apples or oranges and oranges, that we're not making some of these smaller cities adhere to the same laborious paperwork that we would require Atlanta to submit to, right?
That is exactly the
Okay.
point.
And I hope that my comments never led you to believe that the state auditor or anybody else would try to make it easier for somebody to cheat or somebody to avoid their job. But we just wanted to make sure that those who already do that, which Senator Watson and myself have seen those things occur, that we're not making it easier for them not to do their job. So, but I do appreciate all the work GMA does. Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you. So we've got a motion do pass on the committee substitute LC 473927S. We have a second. We've got a second. Any further discussion?
Mr. Chairman, before we vote on that, I'd like to propose an amendment 470165, which goes through amending House Bill 244, replacing line 24 through 31 with the following, and I think everybody can read better than myself, so you've got the amendment out in front of you, and I propose that amendment. And
Any comments or questions on the amendment?
vote the amendment. Yeah, sure, go for it.
So we've got a motion do pass on the amendment. Do we have a second? Thank you. We got a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Amendment passes unanimously. Now we'll take up
The bill is amended.
the bill is amended. We've got a motion do pass and we've got a second. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Passes unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Cannon.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The Senate sponsor will be Senator Watson.
Thank you. Next up, we've got House Bill 309. Is the sponsor here? for HB 309? Suppose not. I guess we'll move on from that one to the last one we've got on our agenda today is House Bill 521.
Mr. Chairman, if it's okay, excuse me, I asked Representative Gullett to join me. One section of this was an amendment last year.
Oh, absolutely.
From a bill that he had. Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Okay.
Proceed, please.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you, committee. House Bill 521, one we considered last year, actually almost made it. Got it out of this committee, but I think it came back. This is, we're working from LC 473531S. This bill has 3 sections. I'm going to go over sections 1 and 3, and Representative Gullett's going to go over sections 2. Section 1, a few years ago, we passed a bill that required annexation municipalities that were annexing property to notify the state legislative reapportionment department of those changes in maps. It was a very important addition that Ms. Gina Wright asked for. After we passed that bill and got to looking at it, we realized that while there are nowhere near as many, occasionally we do have de-annexations, and that same process should happen for de-annexation. So section 1 is several pages, but it's about 20 some odd additions of the word de-annexation, de-annexing, some variation of that, where we applied annexation to for the reapportionment office notification. And I'm going to skip over to section 3 real quick. And all section 3 does, currently, if a county owns property and they own all of the parcels of property within a municipal boundary and they want to de-annex that and they request a de-annexation, there is currently no limitation or no shot clock, if you will, no time frame that de-annexation has to be responded to. So all we're doing is asking for a 90-day response from the city regarding a county's desire to de-annex a piece of property that the county owns. This is not private property, this is actually county-owned property. And of course, it has a caveat in there that the municipality can deny the de-annexation under the normal terms if it's detrimental to the health, safety, and welfare of the residents and property owners of the area to be de-annexed or to the area remaining within the municipality. So all we're doing is asking for a response to that request within 90 days.
And then as far as the need for this legislation, are you seeing this happen a lot in the state?
I know it's happened a couple of times. This kind of came about from a situation in Henry County. That situation may or may not have been resolved at this point, but it did bring my attention to the fact that this is an open-ended process as it is currently in code.
And when these situations happen, are they just not responding to the county? They
That's
just
my
continue
understanding, yes.
pushing off? Okay.
Yes, sir.
All right. Thank you.
And I will, if that's adequate, I'll turn it over to Representative Gullett to discuss section 2.
Thank you, members of the committee. Section 2 is an amendment that was added in rules on our side. It did pass the House, came over here, passed this committee, and just didn't get called before sine die last year. It only affects Paulding County. Paulding County has a local airport adjacent to 9,000 acres of property, so that's how it's tied to Paulding County. But what it does is it says that basically a city in Paulding County can't annex unless the county passes a resolution in agreement with annexation. So what we're a really fast-growing county. We have restricted, our schools are overburdened, our infrastructure is overburdened by how fast we're growing. The county has realized that, but some of the cities have not. And so what has happened is really fast annexation has occurred. The developers know that the county has no ability to zone some different high density areas, and so they're going to the cities. The cities are looking to grow. and are growing really faster and impacting the county at a really great, to a great extent. Our schools are, every school is well over our allotment size. Sometimes there are four kids to a school bus seat. We're just a really great place to live, and people are trying to move there. But our infrastructure needs to catch up, and we're working through that. But the cities just really haven't understood that. They're looking to annex, especially there's been some great properties that are for commercial development. We're a bedroom community that the cities have annexed and are putting housing there, which is great, but it's taken away some opportunities for our county for an economic development standpoint, which when 88% of the people leave your county to go to work, we need jobs in our area, and some of those opportunities have been taken off the table by some of the cities. But happy to answer any questions related to that. Again, it only
Senator
affects
Mallon.
Paulding County.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In reference to your county, who controls the water and sewer?
Both. We have a water department, and we also at the county level, and one of the cities has a city water department as well.
So the county controls water and sewer, and the city controls water and sewer as
That's
well?
correct. Yes. There's a service delivery area where they have, but yes, both have one.
And just one final follow-up. Annexing to a city, which is still within the rights of the developer, so you want a private property owner, if they own all of the parcels, to be bound to have to work with the county if they wanted to annex themselves into the city.
Yeah, so this affects incorporated territory contingent upon adoption of resolution. Yes, that's correct. There's different kind of annexations, and I wasn't prepared to speak to this bill, to be honest with you. I didn't know it was up really, but yes, if that is a requirement of this, yes, they should need to talk to the county as far as the infrastructure. If you're zoning it for and all these zonings are really not economic development. They are typically high-density housing at the moment. That is a heavy impact to the county itself from infrastructure, the roads, especially the schools at the moment.
And my last question is, at what time does the county catch up?
We're working towards it. I mean, it's we haven't been able to slow it because it's been growing through cities at the moment. But I think the county is and the cities are working on a plan. It's just there's no magic wand to say we're caught up, in 3 years or 4 years. It's an ongoing problem that they're working through. I don't have an answer for you, but it's we're one of the fastest growing counties in the nation for many, many years now. Since I moved there, we were the 6th fastest growing county. That was in 2007. So it's happening, but we are. I'm not saying we're full. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying it's affecting our students in school. It's affecting economic development opportunities. So it ultimately affects the taxpayer from property taxes. No new economic development is coming, and ultimately property taxes are risen because of that. There's no offset from a tax revenue.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Hey, not sure, and I may have to call on my legislative counsel, but we ran into a situation last year that was kind of interesting. I managed a city that was in 3 counties, but I have in my Senate district one that is in 4 counties. And they wanted to annex a piece of property in one of those counties. The county was in agreement with them annexing it, and they were trying to get it annexed. But because the city was in the different 4 counties, to pass as local bill, we had to get all of the signatures from all of the senators to do it. And I'm like, okay, that seems a little odd for me that it wouldn't be just the senators that were in that county. And that's a Senate rule, and I'd like to try to get that rule amended, but I'd also like to have it done in state law. Now, one of my wise and esteemed legislators over here tells me that our Senate rule prevails even over state law. In that case, but I want him to help me to explain it, and I would like to know in this bill, if we put it, if we can get it added into this bill in a way that makes sense, we come back and change our rule to allow that to happen. And want to ask for, when I look at your bill and the synopsis on it, I haven't had a chance to study the entirety of the bill, but would that be allowed in the way that I'm reading your bill, that you got a county that agrees, you're saying the city wants to annex the this portion or de-annex, or either way, that's permissible?
I'll speak to the annexation part, de-annexation part. Chairman Anderson can speak to, but I don't think it would from the annexation piece, because this only applies to Paulding County based on the restrictions of the 9,000 acres. So section 2 only applies to Paulding County. I'm not sure about the de-annexation piece.
Excuse me, the de-annexation portion in here, again, would apply statewide and to any county-owned property within a municipal boundary that is available, or that the county wishes to de-annex. And honestly, all it does is puts that 90-day shot clock on. So, I mean, of course, we defer to the wisdom of the Senate. You folks operate under a little different rules from we do, so you have the possibility of passing this out of here and making an amendment later if you need to do that, and can get it worded that way, and it would just come back over to us for an agree.
We'll have to take a look, I guess, and study, but right now, your annexation is only for Paulding.
That's correct, yeah. Section 2 is only for Paulding County.
Okay. I don't want to try to do it on the fly. We may do it later.
Any further comments?
Inquire, Mr. Chair. Why could you not just do this with local legislation if it's only Paulding County?
Yeah, at the time, I had a bill actually for the entire state. It got added. It was late in the session. It got added, but Talk Local from our local delegation, this was the path forward that we wanted to take at the time. And so, since it was there versus the local legislation, but that's the best answer I got for you.
Okay. Is it a possible route to go local legislation? It's just a more politically acceptable route to go this route rather than go through your local legislation? If it doesn't cause any heartburn, I don't call it heartburn.
No, it's not. At the time that this came up, it was after local legislation could be dropped in order to get it, so that's why it got added to this legislation here.
All right.
In rules, it was
All right.
the timing.
I was just wondering why. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Senator Howard.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thank you for bringing this forward. In Section 2, the way it was framed, it seems like there's a little bit of a conflict between the city's vision and approach versus the county's vision and approach. Can you explain that to me a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, I think probably there's always been a difference between cities' approaches and counties' approaches. It's probably like just a natural rub of a city and a county since the beginning of those no matter where you are. This was not something that like the county asked us to do in order to do this. This is something that we have seen in order to help our infrastructure and from our constituents, especially the school system at the time. So that is a legislative fix that we've come to, not like a county requested fix to come to.
If I may, Mr. Chair, another question.
Please go ahead.
So if this isn't coming from the county commission, is it coming from the school board specifically?
So, the idea came from the legislators. The request, the problem is affecting everyone. The problem is affecting commissioners. The problem is affecting schools. The problem is affecting, I mean, it's affecting GDOT, some of the projects that we have as far as, opening up our pipes to allow traffic to go through. So it's kind of like, as we have our listening days, and here's the problems we're facing, we're bombarded with these problems, and how do we solve it? That's kind of how it was solved. It wasn't of a proposal from a school board or commissioner or anyone. It was us putting our heads together, trying to figure out a path forward, if that makes sense legislatively. And talking to legislative council, trying to get, what can we do here?
Understood. And would I be correct saying that representatives from the school board or the county commission wouldn't be here to like be in support of this, because this is more of a state rep, and or I'm just trying to get a sense of like how it got here and add it to this piece. It just, when you have that kind of conflict, as a former school board member, I understand that tug and pull.
Sure.
But I'm just trying to gather the state's response to then intervene if it wasn't a specific request from
The
neither.
request is, please help us. Please help us is the request. They didn't have an answer. They didn't give us an answer. A lot of times the answers I get from either the school board or is usually like, pass a resolution asking me to do something specific. This is
Understood.
just over time. And from constituents, hey, I have, X number of kids, my kid rides on a bus with 3 other kids on a seat, or our kids at 120%, our school's at 120% capacity, as we are trying to build schools and catch things up and get the money to do that. So it was really a legislative fix to a problem that a bunch of people have given us. Do I think the commissioners are upset by this? No, I'm sure that they are not. Do I think the school board is upset by this? If it's going to help, do I want to? No, I do not. I think that's going to, I think that's going to help, and I think I'm not going to speak for them, but I think they would think it was going to help too.
Yeah. Would it be appropriate to just request some of that communication just so we can hear from those people who are making that request? Just as supplementary, even after today, just to.
Sure. Yeah, I can. You need a email. Sure, I can have them. Reach out.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
I can't commit to them to doing it, but I'm sure that they will be happy to do so.
Okay. Thank you.
Mr. Whip?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Chairman Gullett, looking at line 112, after the comma, it says, any proposed annexation pursuant to this article is contingent upon the adoption of a resolution by the governing authority of such county consenting to such annexation. So if the governing authority did not want it, then they had every power not to adopt a resolution, right?
That's correct.
So you're giving the opportunity for the governing authority to determine whether it's advantageous to help alleviate some of the issues that you've described, right?
Yeah. So they would pass a resolution in support of it to happen.
And if they didn't support it, then they would not pass a resolution, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, so you're not taking any authority away from the county, right?
That's right.
Okay, thank you.
Giving them much more authority.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd just like to make a motion to pass.
Appropriate time.
I make a motion to pass House Bill 521 LC 4735331S.
We've got a motion to pass. Do we have a second? Second. We got a motion to pass, multiple seconds. Any further discussion from the committee? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Opposed. We got one opposed, but you did pass.
Thank you.
Thank you. Then one last call, Representative Clifton. Not seeing him anywhere. Okay. All right. Well, that conducts all of our business for today. Thank everyone that showed up. I know y'all are all busy, but we are adjourned.